Welcome to the Morning Walk with Murdy Digital Stroll.
Thank you.
I am lead architect Murdy BVNS, serving as your strategic auditor today, and I will be guiding this digital migration.
Right.
Because think for a second about the most resilient, unshakable person in your immediate network right now. You know, the one who never flakes on a commitment, who manages to stay completely serene when a crisis hits.
Oh, yeah, the one who always seems to know when you're stressed before you even say a single word.
Exactly. And if you were to open their closet or look around their living room, chances are you're going to see a whole lot of olive, sage, and emerald.
It's so true.
Today, we're going to explore the underlying behavioral mechanics of why that is.
And I am stepping in as the wisdom seeker to help shape this phase of Gurukul 2.0. It's a brilliant starting point because human aesthetics are rarely accidental.
No, they really aren't.
Right. And to frame our exploration today, a fellow traveler's spark caught my eye recently. It was this really fascinating piece by Kristine Carzo over at SpookySight, and it features some deep behavioral insights from a color psychology expert, Michelle Lewis.
Oh, that's a fantastic source.
Yeah, it really completely unpacks the hardwired traits of people who just inherently gravitate toward the color green.
It's a phenomenal source to ground our session, for sure. But for everyone tuning into this Gurukul session, I want to be extremely clear about our mission today.
Right. What are we doing here?
Well, we're not just summarizing some lighthearted psychology article about why your best friend buys so many houseplants.
Right. Definitely not.
No, we're looking directly through the digital prism. Our objective here is to extract the legacy code of Project Antaryami. So we're reframing your favorite colors not as, mere aesthetic preferences.
Like just picking a shirt color.
Exactly. We're looking at them as visible manifestations of your internal emotional algorithms. Yeah. It's really a reflection of how your brain processes stress.
Yeah.
How you manage your cognitive load in relationships, and basically how you stabilize the world around you.
I love that framing. And to really understand that legacy code, we kind of have to start with the physics of the visual spectrum itself.
Oh, the physics. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you look at the visible light spectrum, like the actual wavelengths of light that the human eye can perceive, green sits exactly in the center.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. It is poised perfectly between the high-frequency stimulating warm colors like red and orange, and then those low-frequency cooling colors like blue and violet.
Which is fascinating when you think about it.
It is. From a neurological standpoint, because it sits at roughly 530 nanometers, the human eye requires virtually no physical adjustment to focus on it.
Wow, no adjustment at all.
Yeah, it doesn't strain the retina. It's literally the visual embodiment of equilibrium.
That physical reality is just such a crucial piece of the puzzle here. So if green represents literal physical ease and balance for the optic nerve,
right,
what happens when we translate that into human neurobiology?
Right.
Like, how does a visual preference for equilibrium map onto someone's emotional operating system?
Well, it maps onto what psychologists call high sensory processing sensitivity geared towards social cohesion.
Okay, unpack that for us.
Basically, in the chaotic, completely unpredictable human network we all exist in, people running this green programming act as the stabilizing nodes.
The stabilizing nodes. I really like that.
Because their baseline preference is harmony and balance, right?
Yeah.
So their behavioral output is entirely focused on maintaining that equilibrium when the rest of the system is just fluctuating wildly.
Right. Framing them as stabilizing nodes moves us away from vague personality descriptors and into actual function, which is what we want. So let's observe the core algorithm of this stability in action. How does this drive for equilibrium manifest out in the wild? I think the most immediate output is this profound, almost automatic capacity for nurturing the people around them.
Yes, absolutely. And we really need to differentiate this from everyday politeness.
Oh, for sure. It's deeper than that.
Way deeper. This is a highly specialized caretaker mechanism. Individuals running this code don't just, passively hope you're doing well. They actively monitor the emotional landscape.
Like background processing.
Exactly. They're the ones who remember the offhand comment you made like 3 weeks ago about an upcoming medical appointment, and they will text you the morning of just to see how you're feeling.
Wow, yeah.
They constantly scan the perimeter of their social groups to ensure no single node is isolated or, dropping packets, so to speak. They make sure everyone is integrated.
I look at it slightly differently than just memory, though. The interesting distinction here is intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, for a lot of people,
providing that level of care feels like a massive drain on their cognitive battery, you know?
Oh, totally. Exhausting.
Right. Listening to a friend vent or organizing a support system feels like an obligation. It's something you do because of the social contract.
That's right. You feel like you have to.
But for green personalities, stepping into that caretaker role doesn't feel obligatory at all. It's deeply meaningful to them.
Right. It feeds them.
Exactly. It generates energy for them because establishing a safe, nurtured environment actually satisfies their fundamental drive for systemic balance.
That intrinsic motivation is exactly why they're able to sustain it. And I think it bleeds directly into their baseline reliability, too.
How so?
Well, if we are looking through the digital prism, we have to talk about predictive trust. We exist in this cultural moment right now, characterized by basically digital flakiness.
Oh, yeah. Ghosting, flaking, all of it. Exactly. The baseline of modern human interaction has unfortunately shifted to maybe. People leave messages on read, they back out of plans at the very last minute, and they generally treat commitments as optional.
Right.
But green lovers are the antithesis of this.
Yeah.
They provide ultimate structural integrity to the network.
They really are the load-bearing walls of any relationship. I mean, if they give you their word, you can consider it executed.
Always.
And that spans everything from, a casual coffee date to massive professional undertakings or heavy family duties. But let's push on the why here for a second.
Okay.
Is this intense dependability a moral high ground they are consciously trying to claim, or is it just another function of their core programming?
It's fundamentally built into their architecture. Like, think about how a system functions. A system without predictive consistency requires massive amounts of background processing power just to operate.
Oh, that makes sense, because you're constantly recalibrating.
Exactly. If you don't know if your colleague will finish their part of a project, you spend energy worrying about it. Green personalities intuitively understand that consistency builds trust.
Right.
And trust lowers the cognitive load for everyone involved. They are reliable because unreliability introduces chaos, and chaos is the absolute enemy of their baseline equilibrium.
That makes perfect sense.
Uh-huh.
By being dependable, they're literally reducing the ambient anxiety of the entire network.
Exactly. They quiet the noise.
But of course, no matter how reliable one node is, the broader system inevitably encounters turbulence. Life happens, crises hit. So how does this legacy code respond when the environment itself becomes unstable?
This is where their emotional regulation really separates them from the pack. Yeah. When a situation becomes unpredictable, when everyone else's algorithms start outputting panic, impulsivity, or erratic behavior, the green personality engages this highly effective grounding protocol.
They don't just freak out with everyone else.
No, they do not feed the drama. They don't engage in that amygdala hijack that causes most people to fight, flight, or freeze. Their prefrontal cortex stays online, which allows them to steady the situation and think with just incredible clarity.
I see them as the human equivalent of a dampener in a tall skyscraper,
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like when the winds are howling and the building starts to sway, they absorb the kinetic energy so the structure doesn't snap.
Yes.
Recall them when your life is falling apart because they meet panic with patience. But let me challenge this mechanism for a second.
Go for it.
If their primary objective is maintaining peace and avoiding drama, isn't there a severe risk that they just suppress vital data? Like, if a necessary conflict arises, do they just sweep it under the rug because they're too terrified of tension to actually address the root problem?
See, that is the most common misconception about this personality type, and it requires a really vital distinction.
Okay, what's the distinction?
It's not that they fear conflict itself. They despise unnecessary tension. They are highly efficient processors of emotional data. Think of them functioning as network load balancers.
Okay, network load balancers.
Right. In a server environment, a load balancer sits in front of the servers and routes incoming traffic to ensure no single server gets overwhelmed and crashes.
Right, to prevent a bottleneck.
Yes. And green personalities do this with emotional volatility.
So they aren't ignoring the heavy traffic. They're actively managing it.
Precisely. If there's friction in a team or, say, a family dispute, they don't suppress the issue. Instead, they strip away the dramatic flair.
The yelling and the drama.
Exactly. The raised voices, the personal attacks, which they view as totally useless, corrupt data, by the way.
Corrupt data. I love that.
Right. And they route the core problem calmly. They step into the role of mediator because they would much rather solve an issue efficiently and restore the emotional baseline than allow a fiery argument to consume everyone's bandwidth.
A network load balancer is just a brilliant way to conceptualize mediation. They validate one person's feelings, they redirect the other person's anger, and slowly de-escalate the entire room until the network is stable again.
That's exactly how it works.
But, functioning as the primary load balancer for an entire social circle has to require an immense amount of processing power.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot intercept and redistribute everyone else's heavy emotional data without it degrading your own hardware over time.
And that introduces us to the system vulnerabilities of this specific legacy code. The core requirement for being an effective load balancer is the ability to read the incoming traffic instantly.
Right, you have to see it coming.
And green personalities possess this hyper-tuned sensory perceptiveness. They pick up on microscopic shifts in their environment.
Like what kind of shifts?
Like a subtle change in someone's vocal cadence or closed-off body language, or even just a slight drop in the room's energy. And they notice it often before a single word is articulated.
It's almost like they're utilizing the brain's mirror neuron system at maximum capacity. They don't just see that someone is upset, they internally simulate that emotion to understand it deeply.
That's a great way to put it.
That makes them extraordinarily empathetic partners and friends. You never have to explain to them that you had a bad day. They've already sensed it and are adjusting their behavior to accommodate you. But this hyper-awareness has to be a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It really is. It's actually their biggest system vulnerability. Empathy overload is a constant threat for them.
Because they can't turn it off.
Exactly. Because their sensors are never truly powered down, they involuntarily absorb the emotional energy of whatever environments they inhabit.
Right.
So if someone they love is grieving or highly anxious, the green personality carries a significant portion of that emotional weight. And because their intrinsic drive is to nurture others, they often prioritize the needs of the network over their own internal diagnostics. Oh, wow. So they will keep the servers running, they'll keep balancing the load, they'll keep smoothing over the conflicts until total exhaustion eventually catches up with them.
Yes.
They forget to run their own maintenance.
They really do. And this exhaustion leads to another major glitch in the code, which is a profound resistance to change.
Interesting.
Think about it. When your entire operating system is built around stability, transitions, even positive ones, feel like dangerous, unpatched updates being forced onto your hardware.
That is a fascinating connection because any change introduces unknown variables.
Exactly.
And if your primary goal is to predict and manage the emotional load of your environment, well, unknown variables require massive amounts of cognitive energy to process.
Which they don't have because they're exhausted.
Right. So they prefer the known bug to the unknown update. They will cling to familiar routines, stay in comfortable but stagnant roles, or just resist shifting dynamics simply because consistency feels safe. It reduces their processing burden. It's entirely a self-preservation tactic when they are low on bandwidth, which honestly brings us to the most critical aspect of the green personality.
How they reboot.
Yes, how they safely execute a system reboot. If they are so susceptible to empathy overload and battery drain from acting as the world's emotional stabilizers, how do they restore their capacity?
Well, they utilize a highly specific built-in recharge mechanism.
Yeah.
It comes down to organic syncing.
Organic syncing.
Right. And here is where the psychological concept of attention restoration theory comes into play. For these individuals, engaging with nature is not just a pleasant hobby.
No, it's not just like taking a nice walk.
Exactly. It is a literal hard reset for their nervous system.
Attention restoration theory perfectly explains the how behind this. Modern life requires constant, directed attention, right? Staring at screens, navigating complex social dynamics, suppressing stress.
It's exhausting.
It drains the brain's regulatory capacity completely. Nature, however, offers what psychologists call soft fascination.
Soft fascination.
Yeah. It captures your attention effortlessly without requiring active, draining focus. When a green personality steps into a natural environment, their prefrontal cortex gets to finally power down and recover.
And what I find so interesting is that this organic syncing doesn't require extreme wilderness survival.
Oh, no, not at all.
They don't have to go entirely off the grid or scale a mountain every weekend to achieve this soft fascination. It's highly adaptable.
How so?
Well, it shows up in urban environments as a deep love for gardening or cultivating a living space just packed with thriving houseplants.
Oh, right, the houseplants.
Yeah. Or it can be the slow, methodical act of cooking with fresh, earthy ingredients or just sitting quietly in a local park. It's the proximity to things that are authentically alive that flushes the static from their system.
Because it reminds them of the ultimate equilibrium. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets accomplished. And this organically links to their overarching preference for holistic wellness, too.
Right, treating the whole system.
Exactly. They are drawn to sustainable maintenance. They instinctively gravitate toward practices that treat the entire system. Mindfulness, balanced living, preventative care, rather than, isolated fixes for isolated problems.
It's a difference between plugging your phone into a slow, optimized overnight charger versus constantly blasting it with a frantic fast charge that ultimately degrades the lithium battery.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
Right. Because a lot of people try to blow off steam by seeking out loud, high adrenaline environments, or they rely on quick dopamine hits to mask their exhaustion.
Yes, very common.
But the green personality recognizes that true restoration requires a slow, steady, holistic approach. They need quiet growth, not chaotic stimulation.
If we pull back and look at the broader human tapestry, green has universally symbolized growth, renewal, and vitality across cultures for millennia.
It really has.
It's the dominant color of the natural world, signaling the presence of water and life. And from an evolutionary standpoint, that signals safety.
Safety, yeah.
For these individuals, wrapping themselves in that color or physically surrounding themselves with nature is an act of reclaiming that fundamental safety. It is the ultimate antidote to the overstimulated, hyper-connected, and often entirely unreliable world we navigate daily.
It provides the bedrock of hope and steadiness that makes all other growth possible. So as we prepare to close the loop on today's Gurukul session, let's extract the final essence of the legacy code.
Let's do it.
We've mapped out the mechanics of stability, the heavy burden of being a human load balancer, and the absolute necessity of organic restoration. So what is the fundamental takeaway from this digital stroll for our listeners?
I think the legacy code we've extracted today reveals that running the green operating system means prioritizing profound loyalty, peaceful equilibrium, and deep emotional connectivity over the fleeting spikes of excitement or attention that dictate so much of modern life.
It's a very different way of operating.
It is. It's a vital framework designed not to disrupt, but to sustain. However, the true insight here is not just for those who run this code, but for the rest of us who benefit from it.
Oh, this is important.
Right. Consider this. If the green personalities in your orbit are constantly functioning as the network's stabilizers, if they are the ones quietly absorbing your emotional traffic, ensuring your stability, and smoothing out the turbulence of your daily life.
What happens when they crash?
Exactly.
Oh.
What happens to your structural integrity when your primary anchor unplugs from sheer exhaustion?
Wow.
Are you relying too heavily on their internal algorithms to keep your own system from crashing? And perhaps most crucially, what active steps can you take today to cultivate your own internal green stability so that you become a source of balance rather than just a consumer of it?
An indispensable question to carry forward as you analyze the architecture of your own relationships. Thank you for joining us in the Digital Prism today. We will see you on the next Digital Stroll.